Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wednesday drawing session with me, Frank Cho. There is my trusty Pentel mechanical pencil with 0.7 millimeter HB lead, my kneaded eraser, and here is my favorite paper to work on, Strathmore Bristolboard 300 series with vellum surface. Now, I prefer vellum surface better than the smooth surface because it kind of gives that vellum surface has a little bit of a tooth that grips the pencil very well. Now, I got a lot of people asking me about drawing manga characters. Now, I grew up in the 80s and I didn't have any access to a lot of manga. I actually grew up mainly Marvel comic books in the 80s and 90s. And so I didn't really have any access or exposure to manga. So during the formative years. So I really don't know manga, manga or anime characters that well. The only manga and anime characters that I am familiar with is Akira and Ghost in the Shell and Robotech. Now, Robotech was one of my favorite cartoons growing up because where I lived in Maryland, they would actually show Robotech cartoons, I think like 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday or Sunday at on channel 54. So so my brothers and I, we used to get up super early and turn on channel 54 to watch it, and that channel was sometimes it really didn't get really good reception. Because this is back then the age of the rabbit ear antenna, so we really had to fuss around with the antenna to get a good picture. But I really enjoy Robotech, and I just wish someone would make a movie of it. You know, like a live action or like a really high computer generated movie. You know. So now, with that in mind, I'm gonna stress I don't know manga or anime that well, and the aesthetics, the highly stylized drawings of manga and anime, I'm not a big fan of. So, so I really don't know how to draw manga. So I'm drawing this in my in the American style, I guess which is a more realistic style, American comic style, which is always interesting because manga tend to be super stylized. They all have like a very distinct look. You have the kind of like a triangular head with this giant Bambi eyes. So you're trying to translating that hyper cartoon style into more of a realistic style, which is the American comic, is going to be interesting and kind of fun. So again, I know nothing about manga. So a lot of the fans asked me to draw a manga character. So I decided to, you know what, I'm gonna just see which one is the popular manga character and draw that. And Sailor Moon was one of the big popular manga character that seemed to keep popping up. So I have this pose in mind. So I wanted to draw her kind of flying, which is funny because I don't know if she can fly or not. But I'm drawing her flying anyway. So when you're drawing a flying pose, it's essentially a vertical pose, and when I draw people flying, I try to just drawing a verse straight up and down vertical pose is kind of boring. So when I draw people flying, I try to imagine them kind of like walking in air or running in air a little bit. So one leg is straight and one leg is kind of bent or cocked back or something like that to give it more excitement to the figure. And also, when I'm drawing the head, I try not to draw them looking straight up or up and down because it's kind of boring. So I decided to draw the head kind of twisted, turned a little bit to give it a little bit more excitement in the overall body language and pose. So here I am drawing the face. And again, this was a kind of an interesting exercise because off on the side, I am on my phone. I am looking at the how Sailor Moon looks like, and she looks like to me. She looks odd. I'm just gonna be brutally honest. She looks a little odd because she has this 50% of her face is just her eyes. It's just like she got this massive alien like eyes, massive Bambi eyes, which is kind of jarring, especially with my background because I tend to draw people realistic. Realistic in a comic book sense, in an American comic book sense, so it's not really classical, you know. But I tend to put a lot of classical element into the figure drawing. So when I draw a figure, I tend to start off drawing basic figure. Is at this point is kind of a just a generic body. At this part of the sketch, I am just figuring out where all the muscle goes, how the muscle will fall, and just getting the overall balance. Make sure all the proportions are correct and all the major anatomical landmarks are correct and in the right position. So there I am drawing her hips. That's the upper crest of the hip bones. So I'm actually you guys don't realize when I draw, I often have music on. And what I did there, I'm listening to an audiobook as I'm drawing. So the audiobook that I'm listening to is Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential, which is an absolute excellent book. Anthony Bourdain, God rest his soul, it was actually a very, very funny and talented writer, I thought. I mean, his observation and his phrasing, description, and all that stuff is just absolutely hilarious. It's kind of snarky and a little bit mean spirited at times, but I actually enjoy listening to people like that because they're just hilarious. Okay, so you guys are wondering, did I mess up and erasing the whole thing? No, this is how I draw. So once I have the anatomy down, the pose down, because there's a lot of little extra pencil lines and mark all over the place. Once I have it established, I lightly erase the entire figure. So you have a faint outline of the previous drawing, and then I go back and start outlining it essentially. Because that's the reason my drawings tend to look very clean, because I tend to erase a lot, and then when I redraw it, I go in with a more confident line and outline the entire thing. So I tend to, when I outline things, I tend to use like really thick lines to give it a clear separation of all the body parts and all that. That style, I learned that that was influenced by Alphonse Mucha, which was a brilliant Art Nouveau poster artist and illustrator. And of course, I mispronounced his name. It's not Alphonse Mucha. It's actually pronounced Alphonse Musha. So I was in Prague last year, and they corrected my pronunciation. So as an American, you think Mucha. The CHA has a strong K sound, but in reality, the Czechs pronounce it with an S, so it's a sha. So musha instead of muka. So I'm making this minor correction here. In the original drawing, I drew the legs a little too long. Now I'm actually kind of like this drawing was a bit of a struggle for me because I had to kind of keep in spirit of the uh, the the manga character, but at the same time, I had to make sure everything is proportionate. So I drew the figure a little too long. So to a point where it looked like a like an El Greco drawing, El Greco painting. El Greco was a famous painter who tend to elongate figures, which look to me just look odd. But he was famous for that. He was famous for drawing these really elongated figures, which I didn't like at all. So anyway, that's what the figure looked like. So I went back and kind of corrected the drawing, made things a little bit more of a realistic proportion. So I'm adding the hair thingy. I'm not sure what you call those. Hair, it's not ribbon, I guess the hair bobby, or I have no idea what they're called, but it's the hair thingy. It's almost like a Mickey Mouse ears. Now Sailor Moon has this bang on her hair, which is parted in the middle, but is in the original version, the manga version, the bang is really wide, and the part is very stylized. So it almost looks like she's wearing like a hood, like a visor almost. So here I am drawing her breast, giving it like the overall shape of the breast. So yeah, so this is how essentially I start all my drawings. You kind of lay out the overall body shape, and then you start adding the costume. And she has this choker with, I think, with like a little heart thing on it. And so I'm drawing this, I guess. So I thought this was a sailor outfit, but I realized drawing this, it's actually I guess it's more like a Japanese schoolgirl uniform. So actually, I need some help. Can someone please tell me why she is called Sailor Moon? Because I assumed that was her sailor outfit, but I realized that it's a Japanese girl school uniform. So I went off screen a little bit to look at my phone to figure out her uniform situation because she has this big giant bow on her chest, and I was trying to figure out if the bow had this because it was confusing me because it had like a medallion in the middle, and the bow was like it had two bows. It was a double bow. And so I was kind of confused by that, and then I realized it's kind of like a stylistic thing. So it didn't really make sense realistically. So that's the problem with drawing manga characters for me, because everything is so highly stylized. It kind of like I had to really stop and think of the mechanics. And I tend to draw realistic. So when I draw costumes, even though they're fictional and just make believe, I try to make it realistic and functional as possible. So there I am. I drew the bow because I thought the bow was kind of small, but then when I checked my phone with the reference, the bow is just massive. Again, there it is. So there's the double bow, which threw me. Again, I'm gonna ask you guys for help because why is she called Sailor Moon? And and she has like other sailors. So there's like Sailor Venus, Sailor Jupiter. I mean, do they have Sailor Uranus? I don't know. So, so I guess they're like Green Lanterns. So you have like so they're I guess the Sailor Moon has like essentially they're like a kind of like a army, like a small special army group, like the Green Lanterns. So there I am fixing the bang because like the bang was just bit kind of crazy. So you guys don't know this, but when I was drawing this, it was just driving me nuts because I was trying to figure out, decipher, and translate the costume. And it was just driving me absolutely bonkers because I had no idea how it looked. So she had this glove, this this really long gloves, and at the end it had these little, I guess, little cushion things. And where the upper costume and the skirt meets, she has a little puffy cushion thingy. Now I hate drawing mini skirts because, especially pleated mini skirts, because there's so many physics going on. Now I'm trying not to draw this sexy, but by giving her basically a mini skirt. I'm not. I'm actually looking at the thing, and that's how short Sailor Moon's skirt is. It's actually a really short skirt. Actually, was kind of surprised by it. And again, drawing pleated mini skirts is a challenge. So it's actually kind of funny. Like when you guys could see when I drew the figure, I think she looked fairly slim. But when I put the mini skirt on her, I couldn't believe how thick she looks. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, there's where the neck muscle meets the collarbone. Drawing those dreaded pleated skirts. It was actually kind of funny when I was drawing her boots. I realized that she has Superman boots. All right, now here comes the fun part. So Sailor Moon has this like really, really long, thin ponytail. Are they even? What do you call two? Is it called ponytail when you have two of them? I mean, whatever. So she has this really long, two really long ponytail, which roughly is the same length as her body. And again, manga tend to be highly stylized, so it just whips around like a whip. And I had to figure out how to make it look like Sailor Moon's crazy long, thin, whippy hair, but at the same time keep it somewhat realistic. So it was kind of hard. So there I am drawing her power wand. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Her power scepter. Yeah, I decided to kind of fix her smile a bit because I thought she's supposed to be kind of like a happy woman. So I was off camera searching for the Sailor Moon scepter. I looked up power rod on my phone. Sailor Moon power rod. And she had this heart shape like this heart shaped thing. Okay, there, I'm kind of fixing her cheek, just give it a little bit more curve to it because I thought her face was on that side, looked a little flat. So the thing that I hate about using my phone as reference, looking up references, that the images are so tiny. I have to kind of like figure out, decipher what the image, what kind of image I'm looking at. But her Sailor Moon power rod or wand, whatever you call it, had this bow at the neck, which kind of like terminates with this big giant heart-shaped crystal, and on top of the heart-shaped crystal is a tiny little crown. So it was, yeah, it's definitely a this character was definitely geared toward little girls. So at this point, I decided to treat her long, thin hair as a more of a design element. So I didn't like how that strand of hair. So there I am, just kind of figuring out the route of the hair. So kind of like, so I needed to like draw it longer and have this more of a wider curve than instead of a tighter curve. And just kind of trace it and figure out, you know, how it's gonna, how it flows behind her back. So again, at this point, the figure is pretty much almost completed. Now I am just going in and giving a thicker, stronger outline. Making the body outline thicker, which give it a very strong drawing. And also like a nice clean drawing when you outline the figure in this bold, thick line. So again, I have no idea what Sailor Moon is all about. I've never read a book or saw a cartoon of Sailor Moon. I don't know what her power is, what she's known for. But from what I gather, she's kind of like a Green Lantern type character. So she and her friends, I think they got some sort of a power, and they become Sailor Moon. I don't know why they're called sailors. But if you guys could help me out, like you guys can explain it to me on the comment section of why she's called Sailor Moon. And yeah, I mean overall, I mean I it was it was a bit of a struggle translating the highly stylized drawing of a manga character into a more of a realistic American style comic book comic book art style. But I actually had fun. That long hair was a bit of a trip, but overall, I mean, I think this turned out okay, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. There it is, Sailor Moon.